Hey, Clayne. Hey, congratulations for the killing of two lovers.
Gig, thank you so much. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Awfully warm here in California. So,
I'm sure. I'm sure.
hey, so tell us what initially attracted you to a project like this.
I think what initially attracted me to the project, look, Robert and I have been trying to work together for 10 years. We met in '09 up in Sundance. So I think initially I was just drawn to wanting to work with him. I felt that he had a very natural approach to filmmaking. I almost felt like some of his films played like documentaries, especially God Bless the Child. Um, and when I read the kill, this started as a short film called The Drift, and it was essentially that last scene at the house, kind of when David goes to pick up the children. And I felt that we needed to have a feature because Robert and I were trying to get support in the film community with as it relates to investors. And I said, look, let's just go shoot a film to show people what we can make. And The Drift seemed like the kind of film that we could shoot very cheap, as it was more of a character piece, which is what both Robert and I kind of cling to anyway as artists, is more character driven films. So Robert went, and this was August of 2018, and Robert went to go do a rewrite, and he came back in October, a couple of months later, and I just fell in love with it. And I just didn't feel like it needed anything. And instead of we went to a few investors and we were just getting notes that we just didn't feel kind of supported what we felt was going to kind of sell the film. For instance, that opening scene, which everyone wanted us to cut. I said, look, I'm going to finance the film and let's just make this the way that we want to make it. No disclaimers. Let's just try to make a film that we would be proud of to show the people that we love. And so we jumped on it. And yeah, as it relates to David, man, as a father and someone who's been married and with my wife for 20 years, I can imagine I might perform as a human outside of my norm if I started to lose those individuals in my life.
How do you turn on and turn off, getting into the mindset of David? Because, you playing David was so, I want to say, emotionally powerful.
You know, I'm not a classically trained actor. I grew up in rural Alabama where there were not a lot of opportunities for the arts to kind of thrive. So I've had to kind of learn on the go. And for me, I have to be in it at all times. I can't necessarily step away from it. So it's better. I think that's why this project was so exciting to me, because I knew that we only had 12 days. I knew that so I could go and kind of just jump in with no umbilical cord or tether, as it was, to my family and my loved ones. They could support me being gone for that long and being out of touch. And I was fortunate to have actors like Chris and Seppi and Robert's children who were in the film, and Robert's father. I was fortunate to have those guys that were committed to the process and the work that was necessary for this film to play. So we all just lived it, and we lived it all every day, all day. And there were a lot of laughs and a lot of moments, but it was very easy for me to look at all four of those little faces and think of my own three children and not having the opportunity to spend time with them on a daily basis. And I think that was the driving force for certainly the roller coaster, as it was, of emotions for David.
With such a few days of shooting this project, how did you develop the chemistry with Seppi, to make it such a realistic relationship?
Well, I don't want to belittle it, but that's just our job, isn't it? It's our job to create. I've worked with people that I didn't share, we shared nothing in common, and I didn't really respect them as human beings. and yet I need to love them. And I think sometimes that happens in this industry. And luckily with Seppi, she's beautiful. And I mean from the inside out. She is a loving, wonderful human being who, I've said this a couple of times today, she showed up to Utah with her work gloves and her mud boots on, and she was ready to get into it. And the amount of, I think love stems from respect, and or at least it's grounded in respect. And I had so much respect for her and Chris for showing up for no money. We certainly couldn't pay these guys their worth, and we certainly didn't have the luxuries to accommodate them how they're used to being treated. And they gave it 100% every day anyway, and that made my job very easy. So I'll say that it started with a great leader in Robert, and creating great material and an environment that was safe for all of us to kind of create and expose ourselves emotionally on a daily basis. And then again, just the willingness of the group to participate.
Now, Robert, his directorial style is with long takes, and there's a lot of scenes with you in the truck with very long takes. Could you talk about that experience?
Robert has a great way of kind of describing this. He said it's interesting, which is we chose the 4x3 to create a very claustrophobic environment in spite of the large surrounding, which is the mountains and the landscape around us of Utah. And more specifically in the truck, Robert felt that David himself couldn't see past the steering wheel. He was so involved in his own personal life that he was blinded. And we felt that it was crucial that when David was driving, that we couldn't see the road ahead and we couldn't see where he had been. We just had to live with him. And with these long takes, you understand this watching film, when there's a cut that allows us to take a breath, that allows us to have a moment to kind of relax. And when you don't cut, you're forced to just live with it. And you have to live with these human beings. And I think that participated in the tension of the film and the pace of the film. So for me, kind of having that camera right here, it allowed me to push all of the sometimes necessary tools that we need as an actor aside, and I just was able to let things move through me. And it's a luxury that you don't get very often on films. So I'm grateful for Robert's preparation and how he wanted to tell the story, and again, the environment in which he created for me to do the work that I did.
Excellent. Well, let me wrap it up with one more question with you, Clayne. I think the most beautiful scenes is when you were actually interacting with the children. I understand those are Robert's children. Tell me about acting with his children, because those scenes are so natural and so realistic to me.
Well, I've known them all since they were born. When I met Robert, his oldest son was probably 4 in the film that I saw, Jack and the Rabbit. So, you see these little guys in diapers and then watch them kind of turn into little young men. And I think we trusted one another. These guys, they know me and they see me with my children, and they know that I love them as much as I do Robert. And I think that, great performances come from safety. We just, we always say that's why Philip Seymour Hoffman was so great, is because that guy could do things on screen that most of us don't feel comfortable doing behind a closed door of a bathroom, right? Mm-hmm. And it's when you feel safe to kind of expose yourself. And I felt so safe with those kids. And I think they felt the same with me. And it gave it this honesty of one individual wanting to protect, and the 3 of them feeling free enough to just be And I think, to be honest with you, I would say that the three of those boys and Avery, that played my daughter, I think the four of those guys, they kept us all grounded throughout that process. And I think that's why the film feels so real.
Well, Clayne, hey, thank you for very much for speaking with us. I can't wait to speak with you on your next project. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a great day, buddy.